Good morning to all of you. Hope you're well. Welcome back to the digital platform of Sadhan from the Mahavidyalaya. I'm here with session 5 of the special lecture series being conducted by Department of English, Sadhan from the Mahavidyalaya. And we are very sorry for the inconvenience because this session was supposed to take place last day at 7 p.m. But due to unavoidable circumstances, we had to call off the session. And this session rescheduled today. And now we are back in the session. We're very privileged and honored to have our very special guest with us. And she is Dr. Suchetana Banerjee. She is an assistant professor of Symbiosis School for Liberal Arts, and she is with us. So I would like to welcome our honorable ma'am on our digital platform. Madam, welcome on our digital platform, and thank you very much for accepting our invitation. So if you have few
Right,
words for our session, then we will begin your session by telling your topic of lecture.
right. Thank you, Gautam. Thank you very much for inviting me for this lecture. And I'm really sorry for the inconvenience that was caused for from the lecture not taking place yesterday evening. And I'm really grateful that all of you could make it today morning from 11 o'clock. So, having said that, thank you very much. And I'm really glad that I'm here and I'll be able to share whatever little I know about literature or literary text. And I hope that by the end of this session, there'll be questions from you because if a class is not conversational, if we cannot have a dialogue, then there is no point of a class. So let us, whenever you think that you have a question, I would insist that you write it down, yeah, and then type it on the chat and share it with us, and Gautam will share it with me. And from there on, we can take in your answers. So for first 50 minutes or so, I'll speak Gautam, and then we'll start taking questions, right? So, yeah, so should I begin? Are we good to
Yes,
go?
that before she begins, I would like to just inform you once again that she is going to deliver a lecture on how to read a literary text. And as she has already told you that if you have any question, do drop your question in the comment box, and I will get back to ma'am after her presentation with the question that you have asked in the comment box. So do drop it, and I would like to welcome our honorable ma'am on this digital platform to commence her precious lectures. Ma'am, now the session is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So, when Gautam asked me to deliver a lecture, he suggested that I talk about literary theory. But you see, theory is not a separate concept or a separate entity from a literary text. So, before we dabble any further with literary theory, it is extremely important to understand what is a literary text. Yes. Now, when I say, you can see the topic of the day is how to read a literary text, right? Now, please concentrate on three words in this title. One is to read, how to read. The second is the word literary, and the third is the word text. Through the course of this lecture, we'll try and understand these three words as separate categories and how, as students of literature, uh, we should be conscious when we are partaking this exercise of making a text out of anything. Now, before I go into a text or what is text, I would want to talk about what do we understand by literature, right? So, the first thing that would come to your mind is that literature is a piece of writing, yes, to begin with, because something that is not written, that is not scriptal, that doesn't have a script, is not a literature. So the first point is that something that is written can be considered literature. Way before, let's say, right at the beginning, even scientific writings are called literature. Even today, we can call a political pamphlet a literature. We can call a piece of information on a magazine literature. Yes. But we are not concerned as a student of literary studies to call these things as literature. What concerns us as literature uh, are not reports of factual incidents, but rather it excludes a lot of factual and brings in what we understand as fiction or fictional, right? So it is the play of imagination. It is a fiction that we are referring to when we are talking about what literature is. So it is the fictional or the imaginative what goes to be defined as literature for us. Now, why do you think and how do you think a factual literature is different from a fictional or imaginative literature of that we read? Now, let me give you an example. Let's say any poem or any piece of drama or any piece of novel is different from your daily newspaper article, and you are very clear about it. When you are reading a newspaper in the morning, you know certainly for sure that you are not reading Wordsworth, you are not reading Shakespeare, you are not reading Rabindranath Tagore, but you are reading a piece of information that has been communicated by a reporter to you, which is, well, should be factual, but these days news can be fictional as well. You all know about fake news, right? So going back to that part, what is so special then about Rabindranath's writing, let's say, or Wordsworth's writing, or Milton, Shelley, Byron, Chaucer, their writing? What is the difference? The difference is, I would have wanted few answers, but now that we don't have that scope, uh, think about it, what the difference is. The difference, is it the use of language that we are talking about? Because literature is composed only and only with language. There is nothing else that we are looking at when we are talking about literature. The entire composition of any piece of writing is language, right? In fact, the very basis of our existence is language. If you cannot communicate yourself, you do not almost exist. Let's say you are feeling pain, and when you feel a pain, you have burnt your hand and you go, ah, or ouch. That is the expression of the pain that you feel. Now, if you do not articulate yourself and you do not say it out loudly or you scream out, yeah, then no one knows that there is pain that you have felt. So, your entire expression of yourself is through language. This needs to be kept in mind. The point where I'm going to is the second question on this PPT is what is literary, right? So we know that literature is a piece of fictional and imaginative writing which uses language in a different way that is very different from a common day usage, right? The way I'm talking to you right now is cannot be a piece of literature or cannot be written down as a piece of literature because the language of my communication with you is different from the language of literature. Okay, so these are not my words or these are not my speculations. This was first pointed out by a Russian critic. His name is Roman Jakobson. Yes, it's written as Jacobson, Jakobson. Yes, and I'm quoting Roman Jacobson, and he had said that according to Roman Jacobson, literature is an organized violence committed on ordinary speech. The way you and I talk is an ordinary speech, but the way literature is written, or the language in which literature is written, is not ordinary in nature. So, literature transforms and intensifies ordinary language and systematically deviates from everyday speech. I hope I'm clear, right? So, there is everyday speech and there is literary speech. Okay. Now, the school that in which people like Roman Jakobson belonged, the literary school or the theoretical school from which they belong, was known as or is known as Russian formalism. So it is not only Jakobson but a host of Russian thinkers who around 1920s were really concerned not to define what literature is, but what is literary. The one that is my second question. What makes literature special from everyday language? So, according to them, the literary work was neither a vehicle for ideas, a reflection of social reality, nor the incarnation of some transcendental truth. It was a material fact whose functioning could be analyzed rather as one could examine a machine. So please understand that do not put, let's say, Rabindranath's writing or Shakespeare's writing on a pedestal. Do not start worshipping it, please. They are good literature, they are good texts, they become text. We'll get there in a bit. Why? What do I mean by text? Because people over time have read it and have tried to disassemble it. You kind of take it apart, how you take apart a machine. If you are servicing a car, you would open the bonnet and take out all the wires. Yeah, you would disassemble the entire thing. Literature also requires that kind of scrutiny in order to understand what is in there. And the Russian formalists were doing exactly that. So, formalism was essentially the application of linguistics to the study of literature, right? So, what actually struck them, or what they really kind of went around by, and these days, we feel that if we are able to narrate a story or summary of a literary piece, then we have understood literature. Now, if I ask you possibly what is the story of, let's say, Romeo and Juliet, some of you will be able to say it to me in a drop of your hat. But does that mean you have read a literary text the way we are talking about reading a text? No. Content is not something that we are concerned about. So anything on this planet, or whichever way we can perceive, are made up of two things, two segments. One is the form and other is the content. I'll give you an example. Here is a bottle of water in front of me. I hope all of you can see this, right? So this bottle in itself is a form made out of plastic, right? That is the structure of this. Inside it is water, which is the content. If the water is not there, then this entire space inside is filled with air. So there are two things for anything. Let's say there is this mobile phone, it has a form, inside it, whatever is there is the content. Similarly, literature also is or let's say multiple amalgamations of forms and contents, right? Now, formalists, as the name goes, are very concerned about forms, and they are, it's not true to say that they are not concerned about content per se, but they are less concerned about content. They feel that the expression of the content is done through a form, right? So, content was merely a motivation of form, an occasion or convenience of a particular kind of formal exercise. Now, let me give you an example when I say, what do I mean that content is a motivation of a form? Do you think, this is a question and I'm not going to answer it to you. I leave it with you, this question, and you need to think about it and possibly write to Gautam sir at a later point or even write to me. I'm happy to take your questions at any point of time. If not today after the session, you can email it to Gautam sir and he can send it to me. I can reply back to it. Do you think Ramayana or Mahabharata could have been a novel and not an epic? Do you think it would have been justified? Because see, the genre is the formal categorization of literature, right? So you have poem, you have epic, you have novel, you have drama, you have within all of this you have multiple subcategories, right? So these larger things, well, though narrative, poetic, and narrative, lyrical, and dramatic are three modes according to Plato, but from modes are born genres. That calls for a different lecture, and I'm not going to get there. But what I just want to tell you is the genres are, in a way, forms of literature. And what those genres hold in themselves as a vessel, as an utensil, is the content of literature. Now, the formalists are saying that it is the content that gives rise to the form the way it is. As I asked, do you think Ramayana or Mahabharata can be a short story? Do you think Ramayana or Mahabharata could have been a play? Do you think Ramayana or Mahabharata could have been a novel? Okay. So, according to, I leave that question with you, and I'm not going to answer that. Possibly by the end of this course, someone will ask something or will have the answer by then. So, going back to what is literary and what makes up literary language, the formalist started out by seeing the literary work more or less as an arbitrary assemblage of devices, and only later came to see these devices as interrelated elements or functions within a total textual system. Now, as I said, you can open up a car bonnet, you can open up a literary text that way and try and analyze it. And the formalists believe that these are mere devices which can be opened up and can be reassembled again, right? So whenever you say that I'm trying to read deeper into the text, or your teacher tells you read between the lines, the meaning lies in between two lines, yeah? So they are asking you in a way to figure out what is there in between the crevices, right? But coming back to what is literary, and all of the last three questions, what is literary, what makes up literary language, and the idea of defamiliarization, are interrelated. Okay. Now, as Jakobson said, that literature is an organized violence committed on ordinary speech, and I really like to quote him on this every time. Uh, it is simply because he means to say that literary language is not a spontaneous overflow of emotion, as Wordsworth would want it to be. It is much more thought out, it is much more structured, and it is a craft in itself to make a piece of literature. You do not sit under a tree on a cloudy day, remember your girlfriend, and pen down a poem. That's not how it happens. If you need to pen down a good piece of poetry, you need to think how language behaves. What is language need in this particular piece of literature? It doesn't just come from the top of your head. If it does, then possibly it's not a very good piece of literature, right? So Literature, by forcing us into a dramatic awareness of language, refreshes these habitual responses and renders objects more perceptible, right? So we speak in a way, and whoever writes literary works write in a different way. Let's say, I'll give you again an example. I like to give examples, I think, because that clarifies many things in our heads. Let's say if I am to talk about my college days with a friend, yeah, and I would say, when I was in my second year in Jadavpur, all of this used to happen. People used to come, go, play around. Yeah, they would sing songs on the staircase with a guitar, right? They would write poems on the walls. Yeah, they are still there, right? But let's say if Rabindranath were to say these things, he would say, "Purano সেই দিনের কথা, ভুলবি কি রে হায়." Now, you see the difference in me trying to recollect my Purano Din, and you see the difference in Rabindranath putting it in the lines of a poem, right? So that is how the language acts differently. Literature is nothing else but a very, very specified stylistic way of using a language to develop an imaginative piece of work, a fictional piece of work. Now, having told, having said that, having said as to what literary language means, the idea that there is a common language which all of us share, be that English, be that Bangla, be that Hindi, whatever, from whichever part of India we come. Literary language needs to be a special kind of language which is different from the liter- uh, from the ordinary language, right? Now, the formalists say that this is what literature does. Literature uses a defamiliarized language. You understand what familiarization is? Familiarization is something that you're familiar with, right? But literature uses language which is different, yeah, which is special, and the language that can be found in a literary text moves us away from our everyday familiar speech and makes a special case by defamiliarizing us. This is also called estrangement. Therefore, you say that you find pleasure in reading a piece of literature. This pleasure you arrive out of defamiliarization. Had it been very familiar with your language, you wouldn't have found it pleasurable reading. You find it especially pleasurable because literature is able to defamiliarize, or the literary language is able to defamiliarize your understanding of everyday speech, of everyday language. Right? As I said, Purano সেই দিনের কথা ভুলবি কি রে হায় is a different way of saying or reminiscing about our past than I would do when I would say, "Oh, yes, yes, those were the days, and I miss them. And I hope that people remembers those days." Yes. So I hope that gives us an idea as to what literature is. The very idea of literariness, according to formalists, is how this language works and how this language, this function of language, is different from our everyday speech. Okay. Now, moving on to our next slide, which is, I said that there were three words right in the beginning: how to read a literary text. Now, if you see, the title says from work. Okay, I have said work and text, but I would want to actually talk about how a piece of work can transform into a text. How do we read? What do we mean by reading? What are we reading? These are the three things that I would want to talk about. Now, when you say you're reading something, what do you mean by that? All of us, as I said before, share a common understanding of a language. You can understand my lecture, you can understand me speaking because you can understand English, right? Now, had you not understood English, or let's say if I could not speak in English, I would be speaking, let's say, in Tamil, then I won't be able to communicate to you what I'm trying at this point of time, which means that then we do not share the common knowledge of that language, right? And because we cannot do not share that common base of language, we cannot communicate with each other, right? Now, having said that, when I say how do we read or what we mean by reading, I would like to put it this way, that reading, whenever you're reading something, what are you doing? Let's say you read a newspaper today morning and you read certain things and you said to yourself in your mind that, okay, the number of cases of coronavirus has, it was to 5 lakhs and now it has gone up to 5 lakh 11,000 or something, right? You read, you read the report and you came to a conclusion that the numbers have gone up and the vaccine is yet to come. What are you doing in a way? You are interpreting what is written in language. And again, language, or that specific language in which you are reading the newspaper, is something that you understand. And when you are saying it to yourself in your mind, possibly you're reading an English newspaper and you are saying it in your mind in Bangla because that is your mother tongue. You think in Bangla, right? And you are saying, no, the cases are not going down, they are going up, and we need to continue this way. Reading is basically an act of interpreting. What do we understand by interpretation is something that we'll get into when we talk about what are we reading and what is, how is a text different from a work, right? Now, not naming names, a philosopher, a German philosopher, had said that everything around us is already interpreted. We do not, there is no eureka moment when we say, oh, this is the new thing that I said. If it is the new thing that you said, then no one will understand it until and unless you make it clear to each and every one of us that is the new thing that you said. The person who said that everything around us is interpreted was saying it at a very linguistic level because, as I said, if I do not share a common language with you, then you do not understand what I say. So, in order to understand the interpretation as well, you need to understand language. So, when you are reading something, what you are effectively doing is you are interpreting something that again a philosopher categorized as a sign, right? Now, what is a sign? Let's say I say CAT is for cat, DOG means dog, right? Now, that a cat and a dog is different, you are aware of that, right? You know how a cat behaves and you know how a dog behaves. The moment I say CAT, you have an image in your mind which you think, okay, a CAT needs to look like that and not like this piece of red button that is in front of you. If I tell you this is CAT, will you agree with me? No, right. But, or if I tell you that this is DOG, will you agree with me? No. Why? Because in your mind, you have an image which relates to a cat in the real world. In your mind, when I say DOG, you know this is not this red button, but a four legged animal which barks at you or welcomes you when you come home. Right? So, this is the play of what is known as semiotics, SEMIOTICS. It is a way of studying signs, SIGNS, right? Now, the philosopher who worked on semiotics or who's known as father of semiotics, his name is Ferdinand de Saussure, Saussure. Saussure had come up with three things. Why I'm saying all of this is because we need to go from verb to text. Yeah. So these three things are sign, signifier, and signified. Okay. Now, sign is the word itself. As I said, CAT is your sign. A cat is your sign. What is a signifier? That you hear CAT, the sound image or the image that creates in your mind when I tell you that I have a cat as a pet. Then you immediately know that I do not have an elephant as a pet, but a cat is a pet. Neither a dog is a pet, but a cat is a pet. Right? Great. So the signifier that the sign relates to is the image that comes to your mind immediately. That's how you know the difference between a bus and an auto, right? And then the very concept of it is signified. So CAT is the sign, the cat is the original cat is the signified, and what you think about it is the signifier, the concept that you think about it. Good. Why I said all of this is because when you read something, the act of reading exactly deals with this very idea of language. If you do not understand the sign, what do? You run to a dictionary and look up. If you encounter a new word, what are you doing? You are looking for the meaning of that word. Interpreting is nothing more than meaning making. You need to make meaning of something, right? So, in order to make meaning out of something, if you don't know, because it is not there in uh, your span of understanding or in your span of comprehension, that's why you need to understand what this word means, and you refer to a dictionary immediately to understand what this word means, right? Very good. Now, as I said, that interpreting, Gautam, please tell me when I am nearing time.
Okay.
Uh,
You continue,
how
then
long?
we will.
How long do I have?
You have 15 minutes.
Another 15 minutes. Okay. Okay. Right. So, uh, when I'm saying that I'm interpreting something, in a way, I'm trying to say that I'm trying to read something very closely. Now, this again, work to text is not something that I have come up with. It is again a French philosopher called Roland Barthes, Barthes, who came up with this idea that literary text becomes a text only when it is read or it can be read. Otherwise, it is a piece of work which can be kept on the shelves of library. Okay. So according to Barth, a work is something that you can handle. Okay, this is a piece of work, a piece of work of plastic. This is a piece of work of technology. This is a pencil is a piece of work of, well, technology again. It is not a text. When does a piece of work becomes a text? So a text is not an object. A piece of work is a material object. Okay. So whenever you say that a literary work is classic or a literary work is avant-garde, a literary work is romantic, you haven't really thought about it as a literary text. You are trying to apply something else which is out there. That's the reason I said that theory is not separate from a piece of text. It is within the literary text that the theory resides. That a poem can be categorized as romantic or, let's say, avant-garde, or let's say symbolist, is because I haven't assigned literary theory from outside, but it is from the internal working of the text that I figure out these categorizations. Okay, so at any point of time, text is a methodological field. Okay, text is not an object and it is a methodological field. So again, how we perceive what is real and what is reality, if you can understand that difference between what real is and what reality is, then I think a work and a text, the difference between a text and a work can be figured out, right? So work can be held in hand and text can be held in language. Okay, so this is one thing. The second thing is, so this is clear. Coming to the last slide, uh, I think I have 10 minutes now. We'll quickly try and understand what are those pointers through which we should understand the text. I said first, text is methodical in nature and it is not a piece of object. Therefore, the method comes about to be. Second, the text does not stop at good literature. It cannot be contained in hierarchy, even in simple division of genres. What constitutes text is, on the contrary, its subversive force in respect of old classification. Now, as students of literature, we are always told Shakespeare's and Milton's and Chaucer's are the great people. And Dickens, or let's say James Joyce, or let's say, if you have read Malgudi Days, R.K. Narayan, are not so great. But who decides who is great and who is not so great? Who decided Shakespeare is great, Chaucer is great, Milton is great? That is how, again, that calls for a different lecture of what we understand as literary canons. And we have built these canons high up, and say God is great, and, possibly any lesser poet, let's say, if you are all aware about Joy Goswami, is not as great as Tagore is. True, he's not as great as Tagore is. But do we that, okay, Bankim Chandra, Rabindranath, Sharat, and then we have a second strand of great writers, which are Vibhuti Bhushan Bandyopadhyay, Tarashankar Bandyopadhyay, etc. Then we have third grade of great writers. Who decides that? You and I haven't. We just pick up a piece of book and we start reading it. Then we like it, we don't like it. Right? But why do we need to follow the footsteps which are predefined, which are pre-given, that this genre or this piece of work is greater than that piece of work? Yes? So please keep in mind that this very subversive force of altering the entire or toppling whoever is high up, and toppling that high up or challenging that high up is something that a text does. You never know, you might have a next Rabindranath coming up sometime, right? So genre is something that a text kind of can be approached. Of course, we have spoken about signs in great deal, and text can be approached and experienced in reaction to that sign. Yes, because the work is absolutely based on point of signification. Let's say again, I'll give you an example. Ami chini go chini tomare ogo bideshini. Now, Rabindranath understood it in one way. I understand it in some way, and you might understand it in some different way. And therefore, the process of signification is different, and thereby comes the next point, that is plurality. According to Barth, text is always plural, which is not simply to say that it has multiple meanings, but text is not a coexistence of meanings, but a passage, an overcrossing. Thus, it answers not to an interpretation, even a liberal one, but an explosion or dissemination. Exactly the way we try to understand. If I say, Ami chini go chini tomare ogo bideshini, Rabindranath had something else when he was writing it for a bideshini. When I sing it for my pleasure, I just sing it without giving enough value to the word bideshini. Possibly you also do that, right? But for Rabindranath, it meant something else. So the plurality of of text or reading of text is innumerable, right? Think about a person who's possibly can sing in Mexico, Ami chini go chini tomare ogo bideshini. How that person might be perceiving it. Someone who knows Bangla, by the way, right? So that is what plurality is. When Barth is talking about filiation, he's talking about the father of a text. Now, who is the father of the text or the mother of the text? The father or the mother of the text is the author, right? And we always say that this is written by Rabindranath. We don't say, have you read Gora? What is Gora? Gora is a novel written by Rabindranath. Have you read Daffodils? What is Daffodils? It is written by such and such. Have you read Hamlet? What is Hamlet? It is a play by Shakespeare. Now, how long do you associate or how do you keep this author position alive in a text? Please note that the word author comes from the word authority. How long do you think the author should have a hold of a literary text? Now, the point where Barth is getting to, which will come into the idea of reading and pleasure for filiation, is quite revolutionary in nature. Barth proposes that Barth is writing all of this in 1970s when Marxism, psychoanalysis, feminism, anthropological studies, all of this have come together and have tried to formulate what we call today as interdisciplinary. Right? This interdisciplinarity is something that Barth is proposing in reading of a literary text. So you break down all age-old disciplines who stand as guardians of these texts. And by breaking all of them down, what you do is you take help from multiple disciplines, take methods of multiple disciplines, and apply it into reading of a text. Now, when I say that Barth is proposing something revolutionary, Barth is saying that it is time when we have to propose death of the author and birth of the reader. Okay. Now, death of the author doesn't mean going and killing authors. They are already dead. Some of them are still alive. Death of the author means the moment you pick up a piece of book, right? And when you start reading it, this doesn't remain a piece that is written by Roland Barthes, but it becomes a piece which is written by me because I am interpreting this book and I am writing whatever is written in this book for myself. True, Bart has proposed few things in it, but when I receive it, I'm not a French person. I'm in India, sitting in Pune. I I have my own culture. I come from my own language understanding. Indian English is definitely different from French because Bart was writing it in French. So all of this put together makes my cultural worldview. And this cultural worldview makes me different from what Bart is, makes you different, makes all of us different in our own way. And we need to coexist with this difference. And through this difference, if you start reading, if each one of you start reading this piece of book, they'll be every time generating a different kind of reading. It has to, because, well, we are different. So every time you read a new thing, a new piece of writing, a new text is born. So we are never reading the same old text that was written in the 1970s by Rolla Barthes. We are never reading the same Hamlet that was written by Shakespeare, because we are not situated in 16, let's say he had, I forget the dates of Hamlet, let's say 1640s England. We are not looking at Shakespeare sitting at 1640 England. We are understanding Shakespeare in 2020 India in middle of a pandemic, right? So it has to be different. Therefore, what Barth proposes is that every time you read something, you need to derive pleasure out of it. There is no deep theory, there is no deep cracking the code. If it is pleasurable, it becomes a text that you have created and not the author. Therefore, the author is dead. And who is born instead of the author is the reader. And the more reader is born, the more plurality a text gains. Anything that that is homogenized or that is taken as one is dangerous for any society or any civilization. We are all different. There is no uniformity that way, except for that we can walk on 2 feet, we have 2 hands, we have almost same color blood. Yeah, that is one thing in common. We all are human beings, but we are different human beings. So our readings going to be different, our experiences are different, our interpretations are different. And I think with that, I'll stop. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I'm ready to answer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your very precious lecture. We have only one question that I'm just finding here. I'm taking the question on the screen.
Gautam,
Yes, could you find me? This question is on the screen. Could you read it out?
just a second. Ma'am, okay. Right. Epic has certain features, style of writing, a certain length. There are these heroic chivalry. Similarly, drama and novel has their own features by which we recognize it. Now, if we are to convert it into a novel, maybe it would be possible, but certain features will be changed, including its length, the heroic exaggeration that we generally find in an epic. Excellent, Isha. Yes, absolutely. So my question was actually, do you think that it can be transformed into an epic? And as you have clearly said that it cannot be transformed into an epic, possibly it can be transformed into a novel, and that's where it is interesting to note why it can be changed into a novel and not into, let's say, a piece of drama. You are right when you say that epic has heroic figures. The most important thing in epic has a journey, right? Any epic, there is a journey. There has to be a journey. A character is shown, let's say for Ramayana, Ram, he begins right from the age of an infant, from his birth, till he kills Ravan and then comes back to Ayodhya, and then the Agni Pariksha is done and all of that is done. We see the entire, so Ramayana is Rama's journey from birth to, let's say, 100 years. So Rama's journey from birth to 100 years. So Rama's journey from birth to 100 years is the entire. So Ramayan is, let's say, 100 years. So Ramayan is 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 100 years
if certain technical glitch has taken place. So I'm trying my level best to reconnect her. So kindly be patient. And if you have any question, to drop your question in the comment box. Ma'am will be here to answer your questions. Some technical glitch takes place. That's the reason she is disconnected right now. So I have already got another question from Anuradha Shah. Anuradha, please be there to get your answer. Ma'am will be here once again. I'm trying to reconnect her. Not only question how, what's your opinion regarding the series? If you have any suggestion, if you have any question, then you can also drop your question or suggestion in the comment box too. So a technical glitch happens. Extremely sorry for this inconvenience. So I'm trying to re-establish the connection. Please be there and have patience. This is a problem. Hello. হ্যাঁ আমি ঠিক আছে it's okay. Okay, she is joining once again with us. So please have patience and please be there. Technically, it took place, so I'm really very sorry. And on behalf of our department, we are extremely sorry for this inconvenience. It happens, I know, but still, I have to convey my this thing to you. Okay, if you have any question, to drop your question in the comment box. As I have been telling you for a long time, and in the other sessions also, I have already told you that if you have any question, if you have any suggestion, if you have any opinion also on how do you like it, whether you like it, whether you want any topic to be discussed in this particular session or in other session also, then do drop your comments also, because your comments are very valuable for all of us, for our department, for our college, and we would love to talk about your comment and of your topic that you would like us to discuss. So please have patience if you have any question. And because our honorable ma'am is rejoining us, some technical glitch has taken place. So this is the reason that she is right now not with us, but she is rejoining us very soon. And for your kind information, that already this is the fifth session of our special lecture series that is being conducted by Department of English of Sadhan Mahavidyalaya. We have other sessions also, and about this session, we will notify you very soon, and you will get to know that the sessions are going to take place very soon. And to get notified of the upcoming session, you can visit our page, or you can send us email. Our department will notify you through email too. So if you have any valuable comments, if you have any valuable suggestion, do drop a suggestion, as it is going in the scroll bar also, that if you have any question, you can just drop it right now over here. Our honorable speaker ma'am will join us very soon. Some technical glitch has taken place. This is the main reason that you are not getting our ma'am, because ma'am has already completed her special lecture. Our topic, today's topic of discussion is how to read literary text, and ma'am has wonderfully delineated this topic. I hope that this topic has helped you learn a lot, and I have learned a lot too. So as technical glitch has taken place, so she is not with us right now, but she is trying to re-establish the communication connection, and hope very soon she will join us. So please be there. If you have any question, do drop your question. And Asa Mukherjee also has dropped another question. So Asa, please have patience, and ma'am is joining us very soon once more, because some technical glitch has taken place. So thank you very much for joining. And thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for making this special lecture series very successful. Because if the series helps the students, then this is the success of this special lecture series organized by the Department of English of Southern Mahavidyalaya. And if you have any valuable suggestion, if you have a valuable opinion regarding the series or upcoming sessions, also do drop your comment in the comment box. I would like to look into your comments, and definitely I would like to work on your opinion, work on your topic of discussion. If you have anything else in your mind, don't hesitate. Feel free to write it down in the comment box. I'll be there to attend it. I'll be there to consider your opinions. Okay, so please have patience. Ma'am is trying her level best to rejoin, to reconnect. Happen this kind of webinar, this kind of problem happens. There's some kind of technical glitch. Usually it takes place. So this is one of the session. It's unfortunate, but we cannot. This is the problem of technological advancement, that we are really getting her from Pune. Actually, she has been delivering, or she was delivering a lecture from Pune, from Maharashtra. And as you know that since last day it has been raining heavily there. So that is the main reason that we couldn't organize last day's this session, and we had no other option but to schedule this one today at 11 a.m. And also, I think that some kind of problem happened. That's what technical glitch took place. So don't worry about this. Ma'am is already. I have had an conversation with her, and she informed me that she is trying her level best to rejoin us as soon as possible. So have patience. And then also another question or something has I have found from Meghna Bashu. Meghna, thank you very much. I will take your question to ma'am the time she rejoins us. So please have patience. And if you have any other valuable thing, valuable, okay, ma'am is trying to connect. Yes, yes. Finally, we have got her. Finally,
Yeah.
Okay, is it visible?
Can you hear me? Sorry, I have to join from phone because I don't.
Visible? Okay, okay. I can hear.
You are visible, but I don't know whether you can hear me. Right. Hello. Right. So I think the question. Right. Thank you very much. So I think the point was that we were talking.
We are not getting you properly. Network issue, ma'am. Your microphone is off. Your microphone is mute. Kindly unmute your microphone. Your microphone is not working.
Yeah.
Yes, right now I can. No, again mute. Again.
Is it?
You're audible, but your audio is fluctuating, not coming clearly.
Is it unmuted? Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay. Could you please continue?
Can you? Right. Can I just talk and like? Yeah. Right.
Right, but your video is freeze. But okay,
right. So I was saying that for an epic to be a novel, it has the length of it. Sorry. The camera and talk in mic. I think then you'll be able to hear that way. Hello.
Yes, I'm getting you.
Gautam, can you?
I can hear you, but your voice is fluctuating as well as your video is getting freezed.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you out. I'm getting you. I can hear you, but your voice is fluctuating as well. Could you rejoin once again? Ma'am, could you rejoin once again?
Oh, right. Is it can be heard? Yeah, good. So I just to answer the question, because more or less we were done with the lecture. Just to answer the question, that the grammar of the epic can be covered in novel, but it cannot be covered in a drama. Isha is right. Simply because not. Do you want me to rejoin again?
Yes, if possible, then could you do it? Yes, if possible, please do it, because we have another question also. Please, our patient network is very poor. As you can find it, it's very difficult for getting audio as well as video. So please have patience. Thank you very much for having patience also. I hope you are liking this series. I hope you are liking the lecture that already done by ma'am. And ma'am is right now, it's a question answer session is going on, and she is giving answer to the questions. Yes, Isha is saying we cannot hear you, ma'am. Yes, we cannot. Definitely, that's why I've asked her to rejoin. As you can find me saying, so she is trying to reconnect. Please have patience with that. Okay, I'm taking the question that one suggestion from Asia. Asia is saying, "Sir, I have a request. It would be really helpful if we could have a lecture on." Um, Hello. শুনতে পাচ্ছি কিনা? Hello. 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 Hello, ma'am. Could you hear me? My voice is so this speaker also gone, so it's very difficult for me to make it louder. Okay, what I'm asking them to, I'm just giving my email ID and asking them to write it down if they have any question to me, and then definitely I'll forward it. It is okay, it's a technical thing. Absolutely. Okay, definitely. Okay, take it. Thank you. Okay, but I'm extremely sorry for that, because network gone and electricity gone, everything gone. So it's very difficult for her to rejoin us. So what she has asked me that if you have any question, I'm just sharing my email ID with all of you, so you can write it, write your question, anything else to me, and I will send this. I will forward this email to her, and she will forward me written answer of your questions. Okay, I'm showing my email ID gautammaji78 @ gmail.com. This is my email ID. So if you have any question, this question is lurking at the unfathomable depth of your heart. You were about to ask this question, but you couldn't because of this technical glitch. Don't worry about it. In this email, you can write it down and send it to me. I will forward your email to ma'am, and ma'am will send me written answer, and I'll forward it to you too. So don't worry about your about this glitch. I hope that you have thoroughly enjoyed this session. So let me read. Okay, Aisha, have a request. It would be really helpful if we could have a lecture on the way of the world by Congreve. Definitely, Aisha, don't worry about this matter. I will definitely organize a session on this particular text that you have mentioned in your comment. So there is one long message that is from Meghna Basu. Meghna has written that I think they could be written as plays since there are various scenes in different setups with a variety of characters. their soliloquies, etc. But it might be too long of a play. I really like the example she uses. It was very lucid. Thank you so much for this lecture, ma'am. Thank you, Gautam and other organizer as well. Thank you, Meghna, for your question, or for your not exact question, but your opinion. Then other okay. Then Anuradha Sao saying that an informative and enlightening session. Okay, ma'am is calling me. Let me just. Hello. Achi connected. Would you like to join? Please, fine. Okay. Okay, it's okay. No, it's okay. It happens. Okay. Okay, electricity restored, and she would like to reconnect. She would like to rejoin our session. So I hope that our honorable ma'am would like to rejoin and would like to answer your question. So we must wait for her presence once again on our digital platform. So we should keep her that she has asked me to give her only 2 minutes, and she will reconnect us. She will answer your questions. She will deliver other points also that you would like to know from her. So please have patience for 2 minutes. You will rejoin us. And if you have any question, that you could send your question in the comment box. If you have, Esa Mukherjee saying thank you so much, sir. And then some Sunshine Dosni saying horrible network. It's true. It's really horrible network that we are facing. Subhan Ganguly saying very bad network. It's true, Subhan. I hope your music can soothe it. Roshni, Sunshine Roshni, please rejoin, ma'am. Ma'am will rejoin within 2 minutes. Please be there. And ma'am is going to answer the question. Or if you have, then you do drop your comment in the comment box. I will check your question. I will check your opinion regarding the session that's going on or the upcoming session. As I have already got one request from Asa Mukherjee. Asa wants us to organize one session on the way of the world, and definitely we will look into her suggestion, request, and we will talk about this matter. We will notify you very soon. So please be there, and we will definitely look into your request and suggestion. I hope that okay, ma'am has joined. I hope yes.
Hi, I'm back.
Okay, thank you very much. You're back. So
I'm,
once again, I would like to welcome you. This is a problem of technological advancement.
this is a problem of pandemic world when you don't you're not in there, yeah, in front in
Yeah.
person, yeah. So I think I never got to answer Isha's question properly. So I was just saying that you are right when you say that epic can be translated into a novel, but it cannot be translated into a drama, simply because, as I said, journey, the length of the entire literary genre. But more than so, the nature, the heroic measure of the characters. I don't think a short story can really create a hero out of something. Heroes are generally created either in drama or in novel, right? I mean, you can create a protagonist out of a short story, but not a hero. Epic creates a hero. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was George Lukács who had said that in our modern day world, you cannot write epic anymore because the world doesn't need epic anymore. What the world needs now is novel. And novel is, as a literary genre, is a genre that was born very late in the late 18th century and early 19th century. That's when that's the juncture. The Victorian literature part is the juncture when you say it is the birth of the novel, right? So you are right in a way when you say that. So that's exactly what I wanted to say, right? So these genres are like containers, they are like vessels in which you keep the content or you hold the content. I think that was all I wanted to say. Any other questions?
Yes, not exactly question, but I think that I have went through this one. I've gone through this. Meghna Basu has written something that I think you can read it out on your screen.
Yeah, I think they could be written as plays since there are various scenes in different setups with a variety of characters, their soliloquies, etc. But it might be too long of a play. I really like the examples she uses. It was very lucid. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Meghna. I really appreciate your comment. Yes, you're right. They can be because, plays, the parts that you say it is seen, it is basically what you're looking at as an episodic structure. So please don't think that teleserials have come up with the idea of episode. It is not a new thing. It's been going on since Plato's and Aristotle's time. So episodes are is what you correctly point out are the scenes. So the episodic structure is can also be incorporated in a novel, which is of course a part of an epic. And just to correct you, one place, soliloquies are not epic in nature. Soliloquies are very dramatic a form, and you need an audience for soliloquy to take place, right? But thank you very much for your comment. I think that's an important part that she highlighted, right? Anything else?
No, nothing else. I don't find any question now.
Right.
So I must conclude over here. So thank you very much, ma'am, because I have troubled you a lot. Because not only I, but your network, your electricity, trouble you a lot. And it's a wonderful session with you, ma'am, because we are really
Thank you.
enriched with your lectures. This precious as well as lucid lecture. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for delivering the lecture on the digital platform of Sadhan Chandra Mahavidyalaya. I hope, not only I hope, I do hope the next time whenever we will invite you and we'd like to. Okay, no, there is one question. I before
Okay,
wrapping up
sure,
this question, I've forgotten to take this up.
sure.
Okay, ma'am, what does significant mean?
Uh, Anuradha, significant means nothing, right? So it is a process of signification. Okay, this entire sign signified signifier. When you look at language in a process like that, it is called a process of signification. Significant means important, how you know, right? So significant is something different, but this entire process is called signification. Yeah. So signification is when you can recognize a sign that CAT is a cat and not this bottle, and cat is that furry animal that I can think about the moment I say CAT cat, and then it relates to the actual cat in nature. So this entire process of associating meanings with one thing or the other is called the process of signification. Yeah, I hope that helps, Anuradha.
So basically, Tonika Shoren has conveyed a thanks to you.
Thank you
Isha
very much, Monica.
Mukherjee has conveyed a thanks to you.
Thank you,
So
Isha.
we would like to convey our thanks to you, ma'am, on behalf of our Sadhan Chandra Mahavidyalaya and on behalf of Department of English. And Anuradha also conveyed our thanks to you.
Thank you, Anuradha.
So, 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 ma'am, I would like to wrap it up over here. And okay, Shumita Shamanto also has a comment for you. The
Thank
thank
you,
you so much,
Shumita.
ma'am. It's a very informative.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I would like to give you a bunch of thanks because of your presentation. Thanks, thanks, thanks. And I hope the next time any session we organize and if we invite you, I do hope that you will join us and our
Sure.
that session also will be English. So on
Thank
this note,
you very
uh,
much.
okay, on this note, I would like to inform you that other sessions are also coming, and please be there on this page. We will notify you in time. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you very much in advance to join the upcoming sessions. Tata, bye bye, happy